Can you please explain the relationship between the number of plants and light? Do you mean excess light has nowhere to go when too few plants and fries the remaining ones? Thank you. Yes. So here's the rule, Lucy. Here is the rule, okay? You have to fill up a space if you want to yield. If you have, let's go to the playbook, Lucy. Book. So this is, oh, this is now spelled correctly.
I like to call it a bouquet.
A bouquet, it does, it looks like a bouquet. Okay, so check this picture, check this picture, check. All right. If you have a 400 watt light, that light is capable of growing 16 cubic feet, 2 feet wide, 2 feet deep, 4 feet long. So you could get 16 cubic feet of canopy. I don't care if you do a 4x4, 1 foot deep, or a 2x4, 2 feet deep. Same volume. A 600 watt light requires a space twice. A 600 produces twice. Now, okay, I was paid by Quantum to put these lights in here, so I put T5s, but if you consider the MH light, a 600 watt is twice as bright as a 400. A 400 is 40,000 lumens, a 600 watt is 90,000 lumens, 1,000 watts, 140,000 lumens. Did I put T5s in there? Yes. They paid me an extraordinarily large amount of money, so fuck you guys, they paid me to do it. Now, in the picture, is it still correct? Not as much. But you still get the idea that a 600 watt light to produce more requires more plants, and a 1,000 watt light requires even more than that. I mean, what do you think you're going to do? Take those same, you think that you're going to get this much yield on this plant? What are you going to do? Cram it down into this plant? It's not, that's not how it works. That's why farmers plant 400,000 acres, because you can't get 400,000 acres worth of corn from 1 acre. You only get so much per space. So you need more space. Okay, so here's the thing, Lucy. Here we have 4 plants, 8 plants, and 12 plants. Now let's say that all of these plants had a 6-week veg. So you vegged 4 plants for 6 weeks, you vegged 8 plants for 6 weeks, you vegged 12 plants for 6 weeks. Now, if you vegged your plants for 8 weeks instead of 6 weeks, what would happen? They would get bigger. If they get bigger and then the plant starts hanging on the outside of the grid, it's not going to work. So what you would have to do is you would have to have less plants, because the other plants would get so much bigger. They would get so much bigger, they would then fill up the same space, because you grew them 33% longer. From 6 to 8 weeks is 33% longer. So they would get 33% bigger. Now you can fill up the same space with 10 plants instead of 12. The bigger the plant, the longer the veg, the fewer you need. The smaller the plant, the shorter the veg, the more you need. You figure a plant can fill up, starting in week 2, a plant can fill up 8 trellis holes a week. You can get 8 tops a week from a plant. So week 1, you have 1 top, sea of green. After that, you get 8 tops a week. So if you've got a 4x4 trellis, in a 4x4 tent with a trellis with 6-inch holes, you have 8x8 holes, so you have 64 holes. Great. If you get 8 tops a week, you could veg 1 plant for 8 weeks. If you get 8 tops a week, you could veg 2 plants for 4 weeks. If you got 8 tops a head, you could veg 4 plants for 2 weeks. If you got 8 heads of plant. So you get this fixed amount of tops from your plant, from your cycle, from your whatever. So you have these constraints of how many trellis holes you have. You know, over here you see 2 foot wide. If you have a 6-inch trellis, it's 4 trellis holes by 8 trellis holes. So you have to fill up 16 trellis holes. I don't care if you veg 4 plants for 4 weeks. I don't care if you veg 1 plant for 8 weeks. I don't care if you veg 3 plants for 3 weeks, 5 plants for 3 weeks. I don't care if you veg 16 plants for 1 week and each hole has 1 plant in it and you do a sea of green. That's irrelevant to me. The things that you have to consider are you allowed to have that many plants? Does it change the punishment? If it doesn't and it's legal and it doesn't even matter, then it doesn't even matter. And then you have to ask, do you want the work of having 1 plant per trellis hole? Or, because you're in a 2 light rotation, as soon as you go into flower, you have 8 weeks on lockdown. What are you going to do with the 8 weeks in veg? Do you even have a veg? And how tall is the area? How deep is the light? How far away from the light are your plants going to finish? All of those things tell you how many plants you're going to have. Because if you veg a plant for 8 weeks and you're in a 6-foot ceiling, they're going to run into the light before you start flowering. That's why if you have a short ceiling, you'll have a high plant count. The relationship between plant and space, and plant count and space and light and heat tolerance, there are many factors that come into play of what RPM should you be at. Oh, I'm slowing down from 3rd into 2nd because I'm coming up to a red light. Okay, do you slow down in 3rd? Do you drop it into 2nd? Do you just coast and put on your foot on the brakes? So you say, oh, my RPM should be idle, and I put my foot on the brakes. Are you in the snow? Is it raining? Is there traffic? All of these considerations all give you a 3 to 5% modification on the final result. But the initial assessment of speed, time, weather conditions, and traffic initially, the initial assessment will dictate all the way down to the end. Just like if you start off sick, shitty seeds, you're going to end up sick, shitty the whole way down the pipe. You can't ever recover from it. Okay, Lucy, so then it's best to gradually increase light versus blasting with 600 watts at the beginning. Again, let me offer you this. You can't be at max light, you can't be at max nutrient until you are at max plant. So if you give a small plant 600 watts worth, if you have a 600 watt light and you give a small plant 600 watts, then 8 weeks from now when you're halfway through flower and the plant is 100 times bigger, are you going to put 99 more lights over it? According to your logic? My logic is this. Your 600 watt light is 6th gear. 6th gear. You won't be at 6th gear until you're in the fast lane in 6 weeks deep into flower, 5 weeks deep into flower. Why 5 or 6 weeks into flower? Because then you will be at max plant. What are you going to be at max plant week 2 veg? You've still got 2 more weeks of veg and 8 weeks of flower. So you can't be at max plant until you're almost finished. So everybody does too much too soon.